Hi, it's Jeff Alpin, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. I spend time twice weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays fielding questions about job search, hiring more effectively, management, leadership, dealing with different workplace issues. And I'll just simply say, if you've got a question for me, you can put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it for you. Again, I'll just remind you, I'm happy to answer your questions. Let me just get the reminder into chat for myself. And it's about job search, hiring more effectively, managing and leading better, career transitions, or advice about particular workplace issues. So just put those questions into chat, or in the future, you can message me through LinkedIn with your questions as others did, so that this way I can cover them on the next show. In addition, connect or follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you watch this in some venue, whether it's on LinkedIn or on YouTube or through my blog. I'd be very happy to know that. It just makes me happy to know that all this time I spend creating content to help folks has been useful along the way. People message me about that all the time, and frankly, I love it. Also, my website, thebiggamehunter.us, is a place where you can schedule time for a free discovery call to evaluate me for coaching, also to schedule a paid coaching session with me. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's just a lot there that will help you. In addition, the blog is phenomenal. More than 12,000 searchable posts. My courses are video courses. There's one I always recommend, The Ultimate Job Interview Framework, which is also a paperback or a Kindle book on Amazon. It will help you interview so much better than most of you do. And when I did recruiting, I interviewed so many people over my long career doing that. I know most of you need help with interviewing. I'll also remind you, I've got a YouTube channel at JobSearchTV.com. Subscribe there. I share videos all the time. And I'll just say, subscribe to the channel, JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. It's also available as an app on Amazon. So if you've got a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, you can watch me there. Also, BingeNetworks.tv. That's another streaming service. Forgot to turn off my phone there. BingeNetworks.tv is another streaming service that goes to more than 300 different sites, and you can watch me on that. My podcast, which is #1 in Apple Podcasts for job search, No BS Job Search Advice Radio. More than 2,500 episodes over more than 12 years. We recently celebrated the 12th anniversary of the show. And it's also available on Spotify, where it's a video podcast. Spotify notified me I'm in the top 10 of video podcasts in the world today. Amazing. And I've only been doing video for about 6 months on the platform. So it is flattering that I've gotten that far up in the rankings on their platform. So I've got a bunch of questions I've received from people, I should say. And let me just start off with the first one, which is, which companies or organizations are likely to hire those with English as a second language? So I tend to think of financial firms that might have offices in the United States. So let's say it's a foreign bank or a foreign investment firm that has a U.S. office. I think it may be nicknamed a correspondent office in the United States. And they want to ensure that they're able to deal with residents of their former country who may want to bank with them or trade with them as being one type of organization that would love people with English as a second language. I know years ago, I was coaching someone who asked about that. He was Brazilian. He wound up getting a job with a Brazilian banking firm. It turned out very well for him. So, the long and the short of it is think of the organizations in your nation of origin and start thinking of how you might approach them in the United States for work. Is there a place with them where you can leverage that that U.S. experience and your foreign language skills, working as in a correspondent role for their organization? A lot of different firms, but banking is always what comes to mind for me. Uh, I'll just say, give it a shot. It's a very good avenue for using your skills, your foreign language skills, foreign by US standards, and then converting them for useful purposes. And for those of you who are US citizens who want to work abroad legally, think of the same thing in reverse. Let's say you're in Europe and you're an English speaker, have some, let's say, French or German language skills, or Italian skills, or Chinese or Japanese speaking skills. You might be able to leverage both of those experiences usefully in serving organizations there. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Can having an ego ruin your chances for a job? So, an ego. Everyone's got an ego. Come on. Freud made that very clear. We all have egos. The question is, do we have extreme behavior as a result of that? Most of us can contain that. And there's nothing wrong with having an ego. It's about using it abusively with others. Oops, sorry. I put the wrong thing up. It's using it abusively with others that's the problem. So, where you're being hypercritical, demonstrating a superiority complex, uh, narcissism, or anything else that's extreme, that's where the problem resides. But thinking of it in terms of having an ego, like I said, everyone does. What's the problem? So don't sweat it. Be a normal human being. Um, don't conform necessarily. I'm going to speak to those of you who are more experienced, who know something more than the real junior ones. If you're relatively junior, learn from your more experienced people. Then from there, see what works and what doesn't work, and take it to your next role. From there, as you become more experienced, you learn to adapt. And I always encourage people to be great. Excellence is so important, and not just going along with the flow and becoming ordinary becomes an issue. So I'll just simply say, no, having an ego doesn't ruin your chances of for a job. Being abusive and rude, that winds up ruining your chances of getting a job. Layoffs are happening all over the tech world. How can leaders ease the burden on affected employees? This one I want to do a little research for because it is a problem right now. And I didn't want to give this short shrift. So I found someone who wrote some very good stuff on Quora, Quora.com, that I thought would be helpful. So they made 7 points. Provide a brief, clear, and comprehensive FAQ document for those who are leaving or those who are being let go. Number 2 is have a fair severance and COBRA package. The standard right now in venture-backed tech seems to be around 1 to 3 months. sometimes with additional time for higher tenured employees, like a week for each additional year of service. Um, and of course, check with your legal team on the WARN Act, which is a notification that you have to give employees, um, I believe it's more than 60 days in advance of termination, uh, so that they're aware that one is coming. And this is for companies of 100 or more people. With regard to benefits, consider extending any mental health benefits and financial health benefits to people departing for a period of time. You can start a company alumni group on LinkedIn or create a shareable opt-in list for those leaving so they can share their names, LinkedIn profiles, and job that they're seeking next. This can be shared around to other companies and beyond. This one is brilliant because what you want to be doing is helping people land and having all the contact information aggregated in one place where companies and search firms can find it makes so much sense. Number 5, consider modifying your equity plan to waive any cliff for options or RSUs, and consider extending the option post-termination exercise window from the standard 90 days to something that gives them more flexibility to collect any cash for exercising and corresponding taxes. Number 6, consider letting them keep their laptop. After all, it's a depreciated device which is far more value to them than to you. Lastly, work with your investors and any talent partners there to help them. VCs often maintain a talent database and job boards from elsewhere in their portfolio. These are 7 really useful pieces of advice for those of you who are in tech. That some of it will apply to those of you who are not in tech. But I'll just simply say, if you're trying to help the people that you're letting go, this really will do a lot for them. Let me just remind you, if you've got a question for me, just put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it for you. The questions can be around job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or because you want advice about a particular workplace issue. Okay? Is it considered unprofessional to interview for a job and the job wants you to start working immediately after the interview? Would you work for a company like that? That's a weird scenario. I could see it happening, but it's weird. So why do they want you to work immediately after the interview? Like you normally sign documents. Um, you normally would do things to prepare for your first day. I think I would say to them, I haven't committed yet. Um, I'm curious why you want me to start immediately after the interview. What's the issue that needs my immediate attention? And listen, no, we need people. And can you start right away? I want to give notice where I work because I'm currently employed. They deserve that from me. And if that's a problem, you can follow up by saying, is that the way you would want to be treated? Like being disregarded as an employer, and not having anyone give notice or giving zero notice and starting a new job? So, personally, I don't think I would. It's just too fast. There's something wrong there. And you're right to smell that there's something off with that scenario. Again, I wouldn't do it, and you may be different. I'm okay with that. Here we go. Next question. How effective is reaching out to recruiters on LinkedIn in order to get interviews or job offers? Forget the job offers. It's just about interviews. You want to get asked out on a date, and that's what you're really doing. You're trying to contact recruiters, whether corporate or third party, to see if they might be interested in hiring someone like you or with your particular background. So, yeah, it works. Is it instantaneous? Of course not. Nothing is. Using the metaphor of dating again, you know, they're going to want to date you a few times before proposing marriage to you. So the long and the short of it is, you know, yes, reach out and network to hiring managers too. Reach out to people at management level and organizations that you're interested in, um, and uh, keep plugging, keep reaching out to folks. It does work. Let's see now. If I have a job offer before bonus is paid out, is it bad to try to get the bonus before accepting the new job? No, it's normal. You spent an entire year working to get that bonus. Why would you walk away from it? No reason I can think of. So I know right now I'm recording this at the beginning of December, and some firms pay their bonus at end of year. So I wouldn't give notice until I had the bonus in my bank account. So, no. And I would tell a new employer, look, I've got a bonus coming at Christmas, and it's only a couple of weeks away. I want to receive it and then join, but we need you to start before then. Well, let me put it this way. Would you pay me the bonus to start early? Like, would you give me a signing bonus amount equivalent to what my bonus would be? How much would that be? Well, normally I get a 20% bonus. That's what I got last year. That's what I got the year before. So it's pretty reasonable to expect a 20% bonus. Oh, we can't do that. Then wait for me for a couple of weeks. I'll give notice after the bonus is in my account. But I'd like to commit to joining, agree to start with you, and start after I receive my bonus. But what happens if it's delayed? It hasn't been delayed before. It's no reason to think it'll be delayed now. I can start after I receive my bonus. After all, let's get practical. It's a lot of money to me. You know what I'm making. And thus, for me to walk away having spent 11 months of this year working toward that bonus, I don't want to do that. I've earned it. It's only a few more weeks. I'd be happy to start soon after. Okay. And that's the way you would play it. So, no, it's not bad to try to get the bonus. And normally, if you go to the employer and say, I've got another offer and I'm going to take it, and can I get my bonus early? They'll let you go and not pay you the bonus. So I'll just simply say, don't do more than ask. Let me slow down for a second. Don't do anything that will jeopardize your bonus. Seriously, don't do anything to jeopardize your bonus. Do not attempt to get it paid in advance. Just very simply ask the firm that's made the offer whether they can wait for a touch. TJ, hi, how are you? Woohoo! Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. You got a question for me or just popping in to say hi? So let's see now. I've got another question. Oh, yeah, this was a fun one. If the interviewer asked me to make an omelet for a video editor post, I answered it plainly, explaining the process. My overall resume is strong for the job, yet I didn't get the job. Did she expect me to answer it more cleverly? Hard to say because I don't know what you said. So I think she may have wanted you to describe what the omelet might look like as you were doing it. Because I'm thinking of this from the standpoint of video editing. Again, hard to say. And thank you, TJ. It's hard to say what she was fishing for. She could have just, uh, she could have just been messing with your head to see how you'd respond, because often it's not the question itself that's at issue. It's your facial expressions, how you puzzle through the problem is. Um, did you look thrown by the question, or did you smile and just go into it? Most people look thrown when they get a question like that. So Google it. See what happens when you do a Google search for the interviewer. Asked me to make an omelet for a position. What are they looking for? That will probably help you understand where the miss might have been in your answer. Okay. Here we go. Another question. How can I find an SQL job recruiter company that can help you with finding a job and can offer you interview support? So, just to be clear, you're looking for a recruiter who fills SQL positions so that they can find a job and give you help with interviewing. Got it. So, I'm not sure anyone would specialize in SQL programming positions. So, I would Google search or LinkedIn search and look on ZipRecruiter and other places for people who are trying to fill positions for SQL developers, for example. If it's data analysis, you can do something along those lines. But let's just start off with a SQL developer position. As for interview support, they'll prepare you for interviews with their client and what the client is looking for. But teaching you how to interview, it is unlikely. Now, I happen to have a video course available at my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us /courses. The course I'll point you to is called The Ultimate Job Interview Framework. I mentioned it, I believe, at the top of the show, and it is very good at teaching people how to interview. You can rent it for a few days. You can purchase the course. It will help a lot. So how do you find these people? You go onto job boards. You go on to LinkedIn. You go to ZipRecruiter, Indeed, any site that you would use for finding a job, and start looking for recruiters who are advertising for people who do the kind of work you want to be doing. That will help you find some of those folks who you want to connect with. Okay, so we've got more here. And let me go on to the next question. Bear with me for a second. I kind of messed something up. How do recruiters respond to rejected candidates who contact them after their application was declined and asked why they were rejected? So I know what I did when I did recruiting, and that was when I turned down a candidate and someone contacted me afterwards. Normally, I didn't respond. I didn't initiate contact to a person who I was rejecting. In effect, I don't want to say I ghosted them because there was no request other than that they applied for a job that they weren't qualified for. And if they followed up with me to ask what had happened, why I was turned down, why I hadn't heard from them, I had a signature file in Outlook and would send them a message that basically said, the tone of the message was to say, I reviewed your resume. I've seen stronger candidates than you. So this position is not right, but I'll keep your resume in my system. And if something else turns up, I'll circle back to you. Beyond that, and understand, this was a pre-prepared canned note that would be sent to people who followed up with me. I wasn't interested in talking with them. I wouldn't talk with them. It was a waste of my time. I had already rejected them, right? So why would I get on the phone and spend 5 minutes of my life explaining it to them and then being argued with about how they were qualified when obviously I didn't see it and they didn't take the time to make it clear to me what their real expertise was. So don't fall prey to that kind of stuff. And how I would view it, it's a waste. So I'll just remind you, because I'm going to be on for another few minutes. If you've got a question for me about job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put your question into chat. I'd be happy to answer it. Okay. Um, why would an interviewer say that they were taking 3 weeks before letting you know their decision? Well, they may have a lot of people on their calendar and they want to see those people before making a decision about whether or not to hire you. Now, I don't know if interviewer means the screener, the recruiter who's representing a firm filling that kind of position. Don't know. If it's a hiring manager, my answer is appropriate and say, we want to see the other people on my schedule. I want to give this a couple of weeks to see who's available and decide who's best for me. So why they do it is to stall for time while at the same time communicating honestly about uh, what the status is of their filling this position. So that in this way, you don't have unreasonable expectations and know where you stand. After 3 weeks, the likelihood is you're not going to be chosen, but you follow up with them and say, when we spoke a few weeks ago, you mentioned that by now you should have a decision about who you're bringing back, who you were hiring, whatever next steps would be. Want to see if you made that decision and whether I was still under consideration. It's a nice, polite note, and thus you're able to get the feedback that you want. I'm going to do one more question today, unless someone puts a question in the chat. Okay. What is the best way to get a response from an employer after sending in a resume or cover letter? Well, the best way to get a response is to make the resume and cover letter obvious, as though a 6-year-old was reading the resume, that you're qualified for the position that they're trying to fill. After sending in the resume and cover letter, you don't want to be annoying and call them incessantly, because all that happens is you annoy them and they're not going to want to talk with you because they're going to think, oh, this person's torturing me. After all, imagine yourself in their seat. Is that the way you'd want to be treated? No. So why do you think they want to be treated that way too? A quick note that might say, I forwarded my resume to you at 2:48 p.m. on the 19th. Haven't heard back from you. Should I assume that you're not interested? They'll go back and look at what they received at that time, and the answer might be yes, or it might be something different. Oh, I missed your resume. Sometimes that I did that. But the long and the short of it is, politely asking, I forwarded my resume to you on such and such time and date. Haven't heard from you. Should I assume that I'm not going to be hearing from you, that you're not interested in me for this position, or you may, whatever. So the long and the short of it is, there's no guarantee you're going to get this interview. The statistical probability is you're not. But in terms of guaranteeing a response, a courteous email or message to them asking whether or not they were interested in talking with you will make a difference. So I'll just simply say, I hope you found today's show helpful. I'm Jeff Altman. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog that'll help you. Sorry, I have that wrong. There we go. There's a ton in the blog that'll help you. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for coaching, find out about my courses, books, and guides. Again, go exploring on the website. Also, Follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. My network tends to be a lot bigger than other people's. So what you'll have is access to me and all my contacts as second level connections. Subscribe to JobSearchTV on YouTube. Yeah, let's just stick with that today. And subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where it's a video podcast, and you can see my smiling face all the time. And generally on most other places that you might listen to podcasts. Okay. Hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.